him a shot to do what?
Oh, Jeff, we're here. We're live. Jeff loves staring at himself for some weird reason.
Thank everybody for joining us here on the Give It a Shot Network. We are the Jersey Wrecking Crew. I am Jeff Martin alongside my tag team partner, the Trendsetter. And this is HSP on the Give It a Shot Network. And we are here covering the premiere, the debut episode of Raw on Netflix. The Netflix era has begun. And we are here to recap it and talk about it, Trendsetter. Wow. I mean, what do you say, man? I mean, it was a very good show, and obviously, did it live up to expectations? We'll talk about that as well, but make sure you give us a like and subscribe here on the Give It a Shot Network, and make sure you follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast. HSP is here. The exclusive home of HSP is the Give It a Shot Network, and also, too, if you can't watch us, make sure you listen to us on all podcast platforms, as we also are available on every podcast streaming service. All right, Trendsetter, just your early thoughts before we get into any of these matches. Did it live up to the expectations? Because as we got like half an hour into it, 15 minutes into it, and the countdown began, I mean, it was really, really like, wow, this is going to be huge. And did it live up to the expectations?
Listen, I don't think it's a night we're going to be debating in terms of the match, the quality of the matches here, or did it flow, or there are mistakes, or there, botches and things like that. I think really when you look at this show, it's just the anticipation being built for it, like you said, right? Did it live up to the expectations? I think if you just looked at it from the standpoint of the opening few minutes of Raw, and then Triple H introducing Raw on Netflix, the crowd, the arena, the new set, I think just that in itself lived up to expectations because it's cliche, Jeff, and it gets said a lot. I understand it, right? But it is the dawning of a new era. I mean, we've had Triple H really be running this for almost a year now, and it's felt like a new WWE. But now with the whole merger now with a new company and the merger that happened not too long ago, and the fact that this partnership with Netflix is now here, it's amazing. I think so. I think it has lived up to expectations from the presentation standpoint to these new camera angles we're getting to the stories that the commentators are kind of showcasing to you. I mean, we know what's going on, but like you said it yourself during the program, like for those people who are just tuning into Netflix and have no idea what Raw or WWE is, I mean, you might be living under a rock. They did a great job of explaining everything. So even if you hadn't seen it ever, you can understand the story. You can understand what's going on. And I thought it lived up to its expectations.
Michael Cole early on the Pat McAfee show said he's going to have to intertwine explaining it to the new audience, yet not making the current audience get, too bored with it or feel like they're dumbing it down for them. But of course, it's a worldwide audience. And I mean, everything from just the setup, the stage, just the goosebumps that we got watching that opening from Triple H, the video package, the artwork too that we saw on that canvas, and then the curtains come up and we knew it was Triple H, and then the pyro, everything was outstanding. Listen, WWE's production value is out of this world. So obviously, guys, we want you here as we're live. We want to join you. If you guys want to join in on the chat, talk about what you guys liked about tonight's episode, the debut episode of Raw on Netflix. It is the Netflix era, and we're talking about it for the next 45 minutes or so. But right now, they're going through the press conferences right now in Intuit Dome. You just had John Cena. We'll get to John Cena. We had Roman Reigns. We got back to Ulafala. And, we had also, we're going to hear from, others, Rhea Ripley, actually gains the women's championship. We'll talk all about that, but we got to start off with the main event, which was Seth freaking Rollins and CM Punk. CM Punk gets the victory. There's a lot of people who were questioning who needs this more, and CM Punk gets the win. And, a very important win for CM Punk as he now sets his eyes on 2025 being his year. He's going after championships. He's calling out Cody and Gunther, talking about, the Rumble Elimination Chamber, and touching moment where he, dedicated it to Chad Gilbert and Chris Bay. He wished Chris Bay all the best. But, CM Punk winning tonight, surprising, Trendsetter, or did you think that this was the right way to go?
If you're gonna ask me who I wanted to win, it's gonna be Seth Rollins because I can't stand the hypocrite CM Punk, right? But from a story standpoint, I have to be honest with you. It made a lot of sense for this, and I'm sure a lot of people will be saying, CM Punk, he's the established star. Seth Rollins, although he is, he's been there for a long time as well. I mean, you want to put him over because of how how personal this rivalry, how personal it's been between the two of them. We saw similar feelings with the whole Drew McIntyre CM Punk angle. In this scenario, I think from what you saw, especially after the match was over, I'm not gonna say this match was a home run, but it was a good match. Crowd was chanting "Fight Forever." They just love the realism and the psychology it's done in the ring, right? But when you look at the standpoint of where they're putting CM Punk, in terms of he even said it after the match was over, 46 being a number, it's the exception of what the reality is. There are not too many more matches there for CM Punk. Plus, there's also an historic event as well because 11 years to the day, and Michael Cole mentioned it during commentating, that CM Punk had wrestled on Raw. So imagine that, right? So he doesn't have many more left in the tank for him. And so, kind of similar to what was going to happen when he first initially came back to the company before he got injured, there was going to be a lot of momentum his way. I think that's what we're seeing now. Continuation of what should have happened last time heading into WrestleMania. He's already basically claimed for the Rumble. It could be Cody, it could be Gunther, whoever, but he's going for championship gold because to this point, after everything that CM Punk has accomplished in his career, Jeff, the one thing he still to this day wants so badly is that WrestleMania main event.
That is true. And so right now you talk about starting your 2025 on a major high. That is CM Punk, because you think about this, not only does he have this victory over Seth Rollins, which could catapult him and have him make this an amazing 2025 by winning the Rumble or the Chamber. Think about this too. He's got that favor in his pocket from Paul Heyman. So that is also still in play. So CM Punk right now is holding all the cards right now for 2025. He starts off 2025 with a really huge victory, and I gotta say, man, CM Punk, uh, still trolling Jack Perry wearing the infamous jacket, the tracksuit jacket from his chokeout incident at with Jack Perry. That is tremendous. When he will always take the chance, he'll always be able to stick it to AEW any way he can. His little subtle touches that make the people root for CM Punk, right?
Isn't
So
reality isn't always a work though? It's always a work, Jeff. So
yeah, it's always a work. But so CM Punk right now is firing on all cylinders, and you're right, 48-6 is just a number. And we'll see what CM Punk does, but a very you can't take it away from him. His victory on the premiere episode of
listen, despite what I want to say about CM Punk too, in terms of calling them the hypocrite and in terms of how I look at these storylines, that he should be the bad guy and not the good guy. But regardless of any of that, he mentioned it during the build up to the Seth Rollins match, Jeff. Even when he was away, they were still chanting his name. No matter what you want to say, however you won't feel about CM Punk, Phil Brooks, the person, the professional, he has this connection with the audience that can't be described. It's always going to be there. There's that connection. So right now, if you're WWE and you sign him and there are fewer days ahead of you, why not run with it? I think that's what they're doing.
So congratulations to CM Punk there, and that was I would say not a
I know
five
you're
star
choked
match.
up. I know you're choked up. It was an emotional night, Jeff.
I would say not a 5-star match, but a good match there for CM Punk. So CM Punk gets the victory over Seth freaking Rollins, and we'll see how it affects Seth freaking Rollins. We'll see what happens to him now, because he was our MVP in 2024. So we'll see what happens and how this setback will kind of hamper him as we head into the next Monday Night Raw from San Jose. All right, Trent, it's good to see Stephanie McMahon in the audience. Good to see her there. Obviously, they mentioned the big part of her being there. A lot of this would not happen without her, so it's good to see her back, and hopefully we see more of her in 2025. Then I guess we got to talk about the touchy subject here, and that is the return of Hulk Hogan, who was there to promote his new beer. They have a partnership now with WWE. If you saw the ring mat, has sponsorships over there. It has cricket. It has Hulk Hogan's beer. Listen, I know Hulk Hogan's a pro and he tried to get past it, but
He acknowledged it.
you cannot quiet down that crowd. They were anti Hulk Hogan. Did you ever think, if he wasn't an NWO guy, that he would get booed like that? That is crazy.
Listen, he's getting booed for a lot of things he's done in the past, right? In terms of, personal things and videos that were, leaked into the internet sphere, and obviously what happened in the past election that we just dealt with right now. So he's not going to be a lot of people's fans right now. Regardless of that, prior he wasn't on a lot of people's good side, on their good list too. But at the end of the day, he's a pro. He acknowledged it. He was talking and noticed the booing. He would pause and the booing would get louder. So at the end of the day, it's like you're not going to pretend it's not there, but he pushed through. He was there to do a job, to promote his beer. He did it. He still called them Hulkamaniacs. He still thanked the crowd. At the end of the day, listen, uh, ultimately, Jeff, what you and I talk about from a day-to-day basis, where kids never grew up, is pro wrestling, right? And that's what we should be focusing on. So when you see Hulk Hogan at an arena, he is just Hulk Hogan. Well, and let's just enjoy it for what it is. But at the end of the day, it was nice to see him back. You were expecting that in Los Angeles, so again, I'm not surprised. And will it happen down the road if he makes other appearances somewhere else, depending on where in the United States he's making an appearance? We'll see. But ultimately, nice to see the Hulkster back. He's moving a lot better. He's obviously a lot slimmer. And I tell you, this Raw was also another walk through memory lane, which is reminding me as I'm seeing myself here of the whites and the grays coming in here in the salt and pepper. Man, I'm getting up there in age, man. I'm feeling it just like these guys are.
Oh, you're a dignified trendsetter. That just shows you that you're wise beyond your years. But you think a veteran like Hulk Hogan would still be flustered though hearing those boos, or do you think a guy like him, he's a pro, he's been there before, he knows what to expect in LA out
It's
of
that
all
pro
places?
pause. Yeah. I mean, he was Hollywood Hulk Hogan for how long, right? And loving the booze. So I don't think it affected him though. But it was interesting to see. I'm sure a lot of people will post that on social media.
Would you be inclined to partake in a dab of real American beer after Hulk Hogan's promo this past Monday?
No, but I'm not a beer drinker, so that's why I wouldn't do it.
As Rhea Ripley takes the floor now, so we'll hear from Mommy. We'll discuss Mommy becoming the women's champion again, in as she defeated Liv Morgan. But um, Drew McIntyre and Jey Uso. Jey Uso's over, dude. Comes out with Travis Scott. Travis Scott was your favorite word, recreating. He comes out and gets a huge.
Great
He is
cultivating.
Jey Uso is so over. You could have had him as a breakthrough guy in 2024, right? But just him and Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, we talked about him being an unsung hero as well. He was firing the mic for 2024, and he comes out here. Good match that they had here. Jey Uso gets the victory. You think now the thing is going to be Drew McIntyre is so wrapped up into his hatred for anyone in the bloodline that this is starting to affect his wins and losses, because this is an angle here where you could definitely see that he is really hell bent on this bloodline, and it could affect him, if he's going to compete for a championship down the road, because these losses now are getting in his head. Loses CM Punk, loses Jey Uso. Not a good way to start out 2025 for Drew McIntyre.
No, not a great way to start out for him at all. But we've seen this before where he's had similar experiences like with CM Punk and trying to get the one's upmanship on it. And yeah, I think if there was one flaw in Drew McIntyre's character is the fact that he's so obsessive of it that it becomes something that he tends to lose his focus and things like that happen. Because in my honest opinion, as much as Jey Uso is over, to me, and this is where most people might not want to tend to agree when I say this, but to me, the most believable guy is Drew McIntyre in terms of his issues, his problems with the bloodline and certain individuals as well. That's real. When I look at a guy like Jey Uso, completely over, taking nothing away from Jey Uso. I mean, he had some amazing stories within the bloodline angle that lasted for almost 2 years, and those are great works of art as well. But when you look at what he's done and his track record of the horrible things that he's done, and all that Jey Uso says is, "Yo, bro, Oos, you got to get over it." Yeet. I'm sorry, I can't. If you've cost me the world title in more than two occasions, Jeff, and you're a direct result of it, along with Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso, I'm sorry, I'm not getting over that. I'm not forgiving you for it. I'm not just going to simply get over it. I want revenge, and that's why I think Drew McIntyre is the most believable guy. In terms of the win, good win for Jey Uso. I kind of wanted Drew to win that one too, but again, I think this is a story that's still continuing on. Obviously, Drew has moved away from CM Punk now, going to this. So I'm kind of interested how it works itself in, because again, you signed Drew McIntyre to an extension, so you're not going to want to try to bury him or anything like that. So I think we still got to be a little patient to see if Drew McIntyre gets some retribution here.
As you guys are joining here on the YouTube live here on Give a Shot Network, make sure you follow us on all our social media at High Spot Podcast. And of course, we are here for the few minutes here to talk about the Raw Netflix premiere. This is the post show here on the Give a Shot Network. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to make sure you're informed every time HSP has new content for you. And you can follow us on listen to us on podcast platforms as well. On Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. We were there. HSP is there with you. So if you can't watch us, make sure you give us a listen.
We
All right,
love
Trendsetter.
interacting with the crew.
All right, Trendsetter. So no Penta, which a lot of people thought that with the promos, although he wasn't teased for it, a lot of people thought we were going to see Penta here at LA, but we're going to seem to get him in San Jose because Chad Gable, yeah, exactly, Cero Miedo. We thought we were going to get him tonight, but it seems like we're going to get him in San Jose next week. Listen, you can't just have all these surprises, right, in one show, right? Or else what do you got going on, right? You can't. They did a lot today to serve the new audience. I think they gave you good matches, and I think everything was really good. And I think next week is going to be another good week too, because you've got probably the most likely 99.9% the debut of Penta. They talked about one of the best luchadors out there, and the only thing I have questions about is I love Chad Gable. I liked where they were going towards WrestleMania last year, and then he kind of re-signed, and then it's just been different, right? And now I have a feeling that he's going to lose to Penta. Your thoughts, though, of possible Penta versus Chad Gable, which to me was great. I would love to see his matchup, but the way we think here, will Chad Gable end up losing to Penta? And you kind of think he'd have to, right?
Sorry, it's hard for me to pay attention. I'm just looking at this hypocrite Jey Uso on the post.
Boy, you just don't like anybody. Jeez.
And there's not.
You call him like you see it, though, which I give you credit for.
Listen, you're such a fan of CM Punk, Jeff. Stop me when I'm telling lies. And I clearly haven't been telling lies because every single time I've been talking about Jay, Rhea Ripley, and CM Punk, you haven't stopped me. It's either fear or that I'm making a point. I have no idea. But to your point about Penta and Chad, yeah, I mean, to me, nobody was more upset. And listen, I love Sami Zayn. I really do. And again, he's another person that did an amazing job with this whole storyline of the bloodline and then finally turning on Roman and what happened in Elimination Chamber and that audience. It was an amazing moment, right? But I felt for Chad. I wanted Chad to have that, not to be corny WrestleMania moment, but to have that moment at WrestleMania to be the one guy that could go and defeat Gunther. And hindsight's 2020, obviously, but I really wanted that. And then when he turned heel on Sammy, I'm like, oh man, here we go. I'm glad he got the extension. I think he's a talent and still untapped talent that he is using right now. So yeah, I do feel that he's going to be the one who's arrogant and say I can defeat any luchador. He'll lose the Pentagon, but that'll be the introduction of his rivalry with him against American. I was gonna say American Alpha, American Made, and American Males, WCW days. I think that's what's gonna happen though. But again, he's an untapped potential. He's a huge resource to use in terms of you're gonna get quality from Chad Gable no matter what it is. And it'd be sad, but again, I'm excited to see it because I love to see Penta in the ring in WWE, and with him and Chad Gable, they're gonna knock it out of the park. So I'm looking forward to that at least.
So I know we'll get more in depth as we head into next Monday, but does Penta succeed in WWE? Can he?
I would say yeah, he does. I would say if all the luchadors that we've seen so far that have come in have tried to be, or the WWE has tried to make them the next Rey Mysterio Jr. have all failed, right? List goes on and on. I can't name them all. I'll probably butcher their names if I try to because I tend to forget a little bit. My memory isn't that sharp anymore. Like John Cena is. I'm getting up there, guys. But ultimately, I feel that he has done such a great job when he was in TNA, things he's done in Japan, AEW. I think when he shows up in San Diego, the crowd is just going to fall in love with him. And I think we've gone past, in my opinion, at least, especially in this new era, Jeff, and WWE, that the language barrier is a crutch. I don't think it's a crutch anymore. I think, hey, if you don't speak perfect English, great. But it doesn't matter if you speak Spanish, Japanese, Chinese, whatever language you want, you can still connect with the audience because I think the audience has become wiser, has become more well known in terms of they know who these people are now. Introduce him to the global audience, which he'll be introduced on Netflix. I think will be another exciting thing for him too. But again, wrestling is global, so I think he will be successful.
That's a great point too. It is global now with Netflix. Another thing too, man, he's got the Cero Miedo. So that also to me is over. So people know that. That's all he
Yeah,
needs for now, right? So that's all he's gonna need for now is Russell's gonna do the talking.
I could
Excited
see all the San Diegoans go cero miedo.
it's gonna be fun to watch, and obviously, most likely that will be the case. As Adam Pearce is gonna make that phone call. Most likely, Penta is gonna be on the other line, and we're gonna see him in San Jose next Monday night. Already getting geared up for next Monday night.
Well, I want to ask you a question real quick. You said, "Will
Yeah,
Penta be successful?" Do you think he'll adjust to this WWE system though?
I
Because
think
it's
so.
different everywhere.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's able to adapt. I think that like I said, like you made a great point with the language barrier. I think too the best thing for him is he's got that sign, like the hand symbol, and we all know what that means. You can look it up much easier, and everyone can do it. He's gonna sell a lot of freaking merch. So as long as he's selling merch, I mean, those masks are gonna go crazy. It's going to be amazing what the marketing machine is going to do. Listen, he's going to be a top rated merch seller, hands down. He'll be in the top 5, top 10, and as long as he's doing that, they're going to push him. And I wish you could say the same more for a Dragon Lee. Ray has still been that guy. I mean, there hasn't been that second. I would have loved to see Andrade, but he's still trying to find it as well. But I would love that guy I would love for the company to pass the torch now and not worry about there being somebody, having to throw him back to Ray, because it just seems like Ray is that guy that just you hope that you can pass it, and it just hasn't happened. Now Penta's in his 40s or whatever, so it's not like but you'd like to see for at least a couple of years there be a passing of the torch with Penta being that guy. And who knows, maybe if Phoenix ever gets out of his deal with AEW, if that's the case one day, they can team up again, and of course they're going to sell merch. But for now, it looks like Penta will be there next week. We thought he was going to be there with the teases, but again, they never confirmed that he was going to be there. But we all kind of were thinking, oh, LA is going to be a spot, but San Jose is going to be a prime spot for Penta. He's going to be in that California market too, so looking forward to that as well. A nice lineup for next week too, so that's going to be another must watch Monday Night Raw. I like I like the way they're spreading it out. All right, trendsetter Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Kudos to Liv Morgan. Again, she was our female wrestler of the year for 2024. It seems like we're jinxing people now, right, with our awards, because they haven't seen any luck in 2025. But I just want to say,
But I must say, we were talking about 2024.
yes,
2025 is completely different. So
yes, of course, but it just doesn't seem like it's carried over. But
yeah.
I think the funniest part was saying, "What the hell is Raquel Rodriguez there for? She's got to be the most." And we love you, Raquel, but you got to do a better job there. You got to, she's your meal ticket here, and you got to do a better job protecting her. You're the bodyguard. You got to do a better job. And then of course Dom, playing it up to Rhea, though. I don't know if there's gonna be any repercussions for that. But talk about the match though. Rhea's a star. She comes out. She is just money. Liv Morgan is. Let's just be honest, man. We're in the Netflix era. She is sexy as all hell, bro. I mean, she was working it, rips up that sign from that fan who was. I thank God he did, because that's the first impression you see Mid Morgan. Screw that guy, honestly. So good job by Liv Morgan to do that. But the match itself, though, listen to me. This was Liv Morgan's one of her better matches. I think she did a great job. She sold. The facial expressions were good. I think both these women did a great job, and I had no problems with this matchup. I think it was a very good matchup. Probably to me, Liv Morgan's one of her better matches.
I
She's
think
great.
Yeah, exactly. I think with this though, I look at it from this standpoint, Jeff. I'm not really so worried about the quality of the match in terms of just the quality of the story. I think just the story between these two and the history they've had and the chemistry they have, not just outside the ring and the psychology of going back and forth on the microphone or whatever, attacking this person or that person. I think just the type of chemistry they have all together is there, and it proved it here. Was it a 5-star, 7-star match, all that stupid stuff? No, it wasn't, but it was great. It was good psychology, and finally it was building up. And again, this is the thing too, you were talking about before, like Penta didn't show up and this person. I mean, you could have had a lot of people, but you didn't want to waste it just on one show, because I really thought honestly that Rhea was going to lose again, but it was going to be caused by somebody possibly returning. It could be a plethora of women returning. You have the Alexa Bliss, you have Charlotte Flair, you have Becky Lynch. Maybe that would have happened, but it didn't. So I'm happy with the fact that they built the chasing to this point. people say, why are you doing it on Raw? Well, this is the equivalent of like a WrestleMania. This is the equivalent. They've built it up that way
Dude.
for this
Yeah.
debut. So you had to have it happen. I thought it was going to continue one more time where she was going to take it to the Royal Rumble, win that, and then have another main event match at WrestleMania with Liv. But again, regardless of what I thought, it still paid off. It was the payoff everybody wanted. The crowd was excited. And again, I just give a huge round of applause to these two women. As much as this Rhea's a hypocrite from the story standpoint, because Michael Cole even said it too, where he's like, "Oh, she was twisted by the Judgment Day when Edge was there." I mean, give me a break.
Yeah,
She
that
made
I did not agree
choices.
with. Yeah,
That,
that
that
was
was ridiculous. We're not dumb here, guys. But ultimately, great work from both women, and you got to be happy for Ripley because, again, like you said, she is a star on the rise. Her stock is super, super good, and you're going to ride that on as the women's world champion. So, congratulations to both women, not just Rhea Ripley.
you just brought up 3 names that haven't showed up yet. I know Charlotte's most likely going to show up on SmackDown, but you talked about Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss still having to show up. Oh, the women's divisions and everything is just, to me, just totally stacked. I mean, it's crazy, man. Like, where does Liv go from here, though? I mean, because obviously they built it as the end, right? This is going to be the last. And to me, it's funny though, because shouldn't Liv get a rematch? Although you're not entitled to rematch anymore, though. I mean, Liv needs to, she needs to stay in that picture. So what happens now to Liv Morgan after this?
I
That
think with
gets
Liv
booked?
right now, what's going to happen is I think you're going to see one of these returns, maybe an Alexa Bliss. I don't know. A Becky Lynch wants to get revenge on Liv Morgan. So to me, there's a story there, at least with Becky Lynch, right? And I think what the future holds for her, if this is the last we're going to see of at least this current state of Liv and Rhea Ripley, I think you can always go back to it, but obviously not too soon. And we have CM Punk eating donuts again on freaking.
Oh God! And now, of
Oh,
course,
yeah, don't say it, Jeff. Don't say it. Anyway,
we're gonna get in
what
trouble.
exactly? But what I say with this though, Jeff, to the point and back with Liv Morgan, I think right
Oh,
now,
it's not. Actually, no, it's not. I wasn't.
yeah, no, but I know who that person is. I don't like it
Oh,
either.
you do? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, we'll
but
talk.
yeah, exactly. But ultimately, what I felt is with Liv, the next thing is the draft. I mean, we're approaching WrestleMania season. I think that story builds up maybe with Becky Lynch, and I think we see her on SmackDown now going for the WWE Women's Championship. I think that's the only
That's
that's
still a
not
while,
gonna make sense.
still months away, and we'll see. Hey, did you hear Michael Cole? 103 days to WrestleMania.
Yeah,
It just
so
goes fast.
it's not that far off.
Like
It
they
goes
said,
fast.
February 1st. He said 3 weeks away for the Rumble, and I was like, wait a minute, 3 weeks away. I was like, what
Yeah.
the hell? That's crazy, dude. Like, man, like
You
the
say it takes a long time, but dude, it's gonna be right here, around the corner before you know
times
it.
went flying, and the new year. Now we're talking about the first Raw on Netflix, which seemed like a million years ago, and now we're here covering it here for Give Shot Network. Want to thank everyone. Want to thank the boys for sending us up here for us to talk to you guys. So, guys, I see the room is filling up. Guys, if you have questions, please come on here and talk to us. If not, we're gonna bore you with our analysis. So we don't want to do that for you guys. We
Jeff,
want to.
what do you think of the production value of this show?
Oh, unbelievable, man! I mean, that is one thing that they don't ever miss on the production, and then also too, like the people that made the video to open it up, the montage there. It chills, dude. I mean, like you're a wrestling fan, and you're like, "This is why I love." Exactly, this is why you love it. I thought you were telling me that I'm crying, which I don't blame you here.
No,
No,
me, I had a tear in my eye watching
yeah,
that. Yeah.
the way I'm struggling here, but like it is just tremendous. It is top notch, right? And I would love to see what the executives like TKO and Ari who are there and what do they think of this whole thing, right? I mean, they've been involved with UFC, but now getting into this world of entertainment. I would love to see what the execs thought. They must have been like, man, like we bought a gold mine here because
Yeah.
Triple H at the helm has been money, right? You can critique him all you want. There's been some couple things that maybe, but few and far between. Triple H is cooking. Yeah, he is cooking, and the production again tremendous. And then the graphics, dude. Oh my god, man! What I would love to just get in the minds of these people to do the graphics and stuff like that, the behind the scenes stuff. I'm having so much fun doing the graphics for our show and stuff like that. But they're taking another notch. I don't know if I can compete with them now with the new Netflix stuff like that. I don't know if it's gonna be more work, right? But let's see if what I can do. But production level was top notch. John Cena, you talk about emotions, you talk about nostalgia. It was great to see the fans say, "Oh, before we do that, though, cannot forget the Undertaker came out, and he comes out. I would have loved if Rhea would have gotten on the car in the on the bike with him
Yeah.
and then they both would have done the arms up like that. That would have been badass. But it's cool and everything like that. But great to see the Undertaker, and he looks good, dude. You know what? I know it would be wrong to do that to AJ Styles, but I could see him do one more WrestleMania.
No.
No,
I couldn't, no. Like, because here's the thing, like, so much time's gone by from that match, and let's say the mere fact that he looks good, that doesn't mean he's in shape, and I kinda want that last memory, although I wish it was in a building with AJ and Undertaker. Still, if that's my last remembrance of Undertaker in a great cinematic match, I'll take it, man. I don't wanna be squandered where we saw Shawn Michaels come back bald, and it looked really, really bad, man. For listen, I'll be the first one to say that I always want my favorites to go on and wrestle forever as this chance go, man. But sometimes to have the memory of them means more to me than to see them and to see Father Time finally win on them. That's my opinion, though.
I would love to see Taker come back, but again, too, like you're right, you can look good, but the body doesn't know, and the donuts there, CM Punk's hobbling off. Hey, kudos to CM Punk, man. 46 is not a it's just a number, but man, your body feels those aches and pains when you get older, no doubt about it, too. And
They're using him right too. They're not overusing CM Punk. He's not. He hasn't come back and now he's on every Raw. He's on every premium live event. They are using him sparingly, but it's working to their advantage because that's your investment there. You don't want to put him in a situation where he's going to. Granted, every single time you go out there, you have the ability of getting hurt, right? But you want to put him in a bad spot, and the less is more. These are the same people that have complained about Brock Lesnar, right? Oh, I
yeah.
don't. When you see CM Punk, it's a special event, and that's what they're doing for him right now.
To me is like the thing about WWE is why to me it's been hitting a lot of people, and it's like they cater to a lot of people. If it's your first time there, there's something that you went in there and you liked. Even you hit the nostalgia with Hogan, Cena, the Taker, right? Then you got like if you're a CM Punk
Rock.
fan, The Rock, right? Then if you're like a Roman Reigns fan, you get that matchup, and then you get him in Solo. It gives you bits and pieces. You want a women's match, you get the women's match. Now that they could have made two a WrestleMania feel for the first Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Let's get back to the nostalgia trend center. John Cena comes out. Of course, his win streak hasn't been that. Well, he has no win streak, and so now he's got to have an uphill battle at 40. What is it? Did they say 48 years old? So he's
40.
older than Simba. So at 48 years old, he's got to get that win streak back. And I think honestly, though, what he said in the press conference is like he doesn't want to take it away from anybody. Now, listen, that he could say that, and they could be like, "Listen, you're gonna go." I don't think a championship run is that necessary for John Cena to go out the way they want him to. Triple H said in an interview before saying it's not the end all be all if he doesn't walk away as a 17-time champion. I think that's all of us in our minds are saying he should be the guy. I mean, there's other people, maybe Randy Orton. I think the only other two people would be Randy Orton and Charlotte Flair that could vie for that are active. But is it the end all be all if John Cena doesn't become a 17-time champion? Because he's talking about up about 36 dates in order to earn an opportunity to become a champion. And it starts with the Royal Rumble because he has declared for the Rumble. What are your thoughts? Can he do it in 36 dates? Can it be done?
It can be done, and I think it was done specifically and designed purposely for this. I mean, you're talking about the Royal Rumble, right? Okay, Money in the Bank is also another opportunity. Elimination Chamber in Toronto is another opportunity. So these are opportunities to allow us to, let's say, if this was done maybe early summer, you'd be like, oh, how is it going to fit in the storyline? I mean, of course, John Cena's not going to, you just said 36 dates, right? But he's not going to be on every single Raw, even though he's coming back and committed himself 100%. It's not going to be the 100% that we've seen John Cena when he was 25, 35, 40. It's different. It's, I hate to say it, as the old expression goes, it's a young man's game, right? So you want to use him sparingly, but you want to use him often. And when you do use him, you want it to make sense. So, listen, is it necessary? And we have Triple H now coming up to the podium there. Is it necessary for John Cena to win and break the record? I think for a lot of people who are John Cena fans or people now that have converted from hating him to respecting him as a person, because I think they've always liked him as a person, but just hated that he was forced down the audience throats all the time because, hey, we don't want this guy. We want somebody else. We don't want the Super Cena BS every single time. I think from a nostalgia standpoint, it is possible, but I don't think it's going to be a scenario where he wins the title. It's more of putting somebody like, let's say, for example, he mentioned his name as he was talking, Cody Rhodes. John Cena, Cody Rhodes for John Cena to lose to Cody Rhodes, or to for Cody to beat one of the biggest legends in WWE history and to kind of cement even more of his legacy. I think that would be a great thing to do. But ultimately, I have no idea. I mean, the list of people, because I already have in my mind what I want for Cody. Kind of have an idea what I want for Roman, certain individuals. John Cena, it's kind of interesting where he fits in the story, because now again we have CM Punk. But again, this is a great problem you wish of your Triple H to
Oh my
have.
god, yeah.
So
Well, they're
it's
deep.
yeah, it's deep, this roster.
All right, so John Cena returned, and then we get just was. I mean, if you could say that this should have been the main event, I wouldn't argue with you. The tribal combat, everything that happened. Let's start from the beginning and then work our way to the end of the match. Triple H opened it up, and The Rock comes out, but it was weird because we thought we were gonna get the final boss. We thought we were gonna have a continuation of Bad Blood, but a lot of people, and I love social media. This is why I love them too, because on certain times and certain subjects, they're good. It's like John Cena. It's just like The Rock forgot that he was the final boss, and he just came out and he was hugging everybody. He was happy, the High Chief, and all this good stuff. Gives the title belt to his daughters. Just a nice touch. Says hi to everybody. Hugs Ari, Manuel there. And then he gets in the ring, talks about, from being a child and watching WWE and everything. And then he thanks Cody Rhodes. And then you see this love fest and everything. You're like, wait a minute, what happened here? Could it have been that it is because that The Rock is not going to compete at this WrestleMania that they want to kind of, put it in a bottle and then get it later? Or is it just because it was the first one on Netflix and they didn't want to do anything with The Rock where they just couldn't deliver, with a match like we were talking about? Like, let's keep it in here because we don't know what The Rock's going to do. We still don't know what his plans are, but it could change. But towards the night, though, it just seemed like The Rock's not going to be at WrestleMania or compete because he basically he amended with everybody.
Yeah, it's a great question, man, and I wish I had the answer. And man, if I had enough time to even to discuss this with you too. I mean, that was a lot of terms of things to dive into, but I think everything you said, it's a little bit of everything. And what I mean by that is that when he came out and the crowd was going crazy, I said to you, if I was him, it'd be really hard. I mean, you're professional. Okay. You're one of the top paid actors in the world. But if it was me, it'd be really hard to be the final boss in a scenario where the crowd's just chanting. They're happy to see you. He showed his arm and showed the goosebumps on his arm and just the excitement, the adrenaline going down there. And I really feel it had something to do with what you mentioned before, that he's most likely not going to be at WrestleMania. And so to make amends to a certain degree, it's like, okay, maybe people can now overlook and oversee the fact that he's not going to be there so they can move on, and they can move on with the story. No pun intended. Another part of it too, I think it was just it was more sentimental, I feel, because this was really an historic event in terms of wrestling. For him to show up there and had been there during the Attitude Era, and then again went through his history, and then to kind of give Cody his flowers, and then the same thing for his cousin Roman, I think was sentimental in terms of his appreciation to the audience, appreciation to the business, in terms of how it's evolved to this point and where it hopefully goes in the future, where the ceiling, there's no ceiling on this. And how Triple H said you haven't seen anything yet. God knows what that means, right? But I also, for me personally, felt that it was Rock kind of how I mentioned with CM Punk, and I mentioned all these individuals, like for example John Cena. It's that knowing that the future doesn't hold him anymore. It's we hope to see Rock one more time in the ring. We hope we see him again, maybe because everyone wants to see the Roman Reigns thing, or maybe a Cody scenario because it had been thrown out there. But it's like maybe Rock's future isn't definite anymore, that he's going to step back in the ring again. It's not a definite. So maybe it was more of a way of saying, the future is okay and the future is good. It doesn't need me anymore. At least that's what I got from it.
I mean, you could go in a lot of directions. What you came off of, that he forgot he was not that they're going to forget, but that he just was, again, it was happy go lucky. It's a celebration. It's going to be The Rock celebrating, so we're going to see anything major. Praising Cody Rhodes, after beating him up like the WrestleMania season last year. To me, it just was like, I don't know. I don't know, and I guess that's a good thing. We kept us guessing because I don't know how you explain the way he acted, and then the toasting in the back, Cody Rhodes shared a picture of them toasting in the back. How do you go back to fighting? I mean, I guess you could be both faces, but the final boss did such a great job of being this heel that he worked so much to get to, and now to me, it's kind of like, whoa, like what are we getting here? So it's gonna be really interesting to see how they do this. But my thought right now is, if you asked me, I don't think he's wrestling at WrestleMania.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. And to me, here as we head into this match, I'll say this: Roman Reigns, for anyone that doubted Roman Reigns is phenomenal. Roman Reigns to me, he is up there. No doubt about it. If you're gonna put him on Mount Rushmore, I can't argue with it because he is that good. He got Solo over. His mannerisms are good. The way he comes out to the ring is cinema. He's got the whole thing. I mean, there's a time where you could say that he didn't have the whole thing, but he has it now, and he got Solo over. But the only thing I ask you, Trendsetter, is this: to me, it felt like the bottom of the ninth. It felt like I'm going to use it in Mets terms. It felt like Lindor hit that grand slam to it just felt like, to me. How do you? To me, it felt like a culmination. Like what else? I mean, unless you see a contrite Solo Sokoa, and then what happens there? There, do they disintegrate this bloodline? What happens? Like we thought Paul Heyman was going to turn, which that was going to happen. We thought The Rock was going to turn on Roman there. He takes the Ulafala from Paul Heyman and puts it on, like acknowledging Roman Reigns, which is the ultimate respect. We're waiting for him to turn. We're waiting for him to turn. We're waiting for Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Nothing. It felt to me like a culmination. And I don't know. I mean, Paul Heyman, I don't know what they said in this press conference here, which we have it on mute here because we're doing the show. I don't know, what inning are we in? What inning would you say we're in? Did it feel like the close, the culmination?
I feel it's the culmination. I feel with Roman. Listen, what happens with him reobtaining the Ulafala, I think just ending that story with Solo, and now I feel honestly, listen, we know what Jay is and what he's was doing. Question marks on Jimmy, but now I think maybe Jimmy and Sammy might become a duo in a sense to have something to do in terms of being a tag team. And Roman's now going off to venture for what he wants, what he lost previously. I think it goes there. And this version of the bloodline, though, that's the biggest question for me, where that goes. But I feel this was a culmination, like you said before, to use that word. And it really feels like it was the bottom of the ninth. That's what they were doing here. The build up towards it, like I said, this event here, this Raw on Netflix was the build up of WrestleMania. This is what you wanted to see. This is going to be the end of the story, and both sides were going to move on. I know how one side's going to move on. The other side on SmackDown, I don't know. I think that bloodline is still going to continue. I think that bloodline is still going to cause chaos. But now that you've lost to Roman, and I get what you mean when you say that he's put Roman over, or Roman's put Solo over. But you and I have had discussions like this before, prior to this match happening. I'm like, if Roman recaptures the Ulafala, it's the end, or he finally ended this chapter of this story with the bloodline. Now he can move on and continue his singles career in terms of where he's going to go heading towards WrestleMania, right? But I thought if Solo won it, it would have meant so much more because now the bloodline continues. Roman's pushed
Yeah.
aside. This doesn't hurt Roman. This doesn't hurt the original members of the bloodline because they're all going their different paths. And I feel like if you want to keep the bloodline alive, so much like versions of, the Horsemen's or versions of, the NWO, you move past the originals and you move on to this new blood version. And I thought that was going to happen. So that's how I viewed it.
It's just weird though, because I just felt like, it's it, because what else is there? Besides, Solo apologizing, and you can tell like Solo's telling him, you never loved me. It seemed like he always tried to get his approval, and this was the only way that he could have done it. Now, what does Solo do? He took another L. How can I take him seriously? They threw everything at Roman tonight, and Tama, Jacob, Fatu. Maybe we see Jacob now. I don't know, but to me, it just felt like the culmination. How do you restart this, especially when The Rock seemed to like have distanced himself from everything here, as far as like having turmoil with Roman Reigns? So to me, this is like, whoa, what's going on here? And again, though, it's cool because this is not what we thought, and adds more questions than answers too. People joining here on the HSP post Netflix premiere post show. So guys, I'm glad that this the room is growing too. So again, add your thoughts and stuff before we sign off in just a little bit, but The match itself, we saw Roman give a lot to Solo. Solo had a lot of it was very aggressive. Really, probably was Solo's best matchup so far to date. And then Roman Reigns, I mean, did a good job selling for Solo. And then you had Sammy and Jay come out. Then you had Tamatanga and Jacob. They came out first. Then Sammy and Jimmy, answered that. And then obviously Kevin Owens came out, which the tease watch behind your back. It would have been I would have thought maybe Sammy was going to betray him with Kevin and Owens, whatever. But KO did tell him to watch his back, and he tried to interfere. And then Cody comes out, and then he has his interaction with Kevin Owens. You had a lot going on. The crowd was psyched, and to me, the crowd kind of like afterwards, it was very hard for them to come back down because it was an emotional opening segment, opening first 45 minutes to an hour of that. Because to me, you could have said that this was the main event. This was the main event. Ended it with The Rock acknowledging Roman. That would have been a very cool way to end it as well, too. But hey, beggars can't be choosers here. But to me, this was the main event. This was to me by far everything. This was the one that's why Netflix associates themselves with WWE. This was cinema right here. So the match was really good. What do you think about the match?
I thought the match was good. I mean, listen, I know your feelings are towards the fact that this should be the main event. When it first started, I was like, oh, really? They're starting with this. Listen, the crowd is hot. The crowd is excited. They want to see something. And what better way to start it? So, the expression goes, if you're not first, you're last, right? So I'm sure Roman didn't want to be in the middle of the card.
No.
So let's start off. Let's kick it off. Let's give them something to remember, which it was. Now, I'd be lying if I didn't say I thought I was going to go certain ways. I thought, Rock was going to do something. He gave people his flowers, and then he was going to come back as the final boss and like, haha, gotcha type of thing. I thought Paul was going to pull a Paul Bearer from the Undertaker and actually turn on his tribal chief and become part of Solo's group after that, and that's a story that could have continued on from there as well. But it didn't end the way I thought it would be, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because you and I have talked about it before several times on the show. We've previewed WrestleManias and premium live events. We're like, it's nice that it's not predictable. Does it always come out the way you want it? No, but then you're like, okay, well, now it came out this way, which I wasn't expecting. What's going to happen now? So that's what we're discussing. That's what we're going to look forward to in the weeks coming into leading to Royal Rumble.
We'd love to know what you guys think. What inning this was? Was it the culmination? Was it the bottom of the ninth? What did we see tonight? All right, John Sutter. So, two things to wrap up. Royal Rumble, we're 3 weeks away. New Year's Evil is tomorrow night. The Rock will be there at the Shrine in LA. He's going to be there to maybe lend support to his daughter. But again, so it is going to be must watch tomorrow. You've got Julia vying for that NXT Women's Championship. Will she get it done? So we'll see. I think it's going to be a new era for NXT for the women's division. So we'll see what happens there. And The Rock will be there too. Some more reason to watch it on the CW. And then Roman Reigns will be on the cover of 2K25. Obviously, that's on our post. If you follow us on the IG, it's at High Spot Podcast and it's been circulating around. Obviously, January 27th is when there will be a celebration for Roman Reigns, and that is a Monday Night Raw. So we'll see just exactly what happens there. Maybe that's where they progress this storyline. Right now, it looks like it's going to take maybe a little break, but we'll see how Solo reacts to losing to Roman Reigns. So obviously, we'll see if he's there on Friday night SmackDown. So Roman Reigns makes the cover. Are you surprised that Roman Reigns graces the cover of 2025 2K25?
Not at all. Didn't expect Cody to make another cover. I could have maybe thought CM Punk. That would have been kind of historic for the fact that I don't remember the last time he was on a cover of a WWE video game, so that would have been kind of cool too. But I think Roman deserved. I mean, listen, it's the least you can do for the fact of, if it's a way of showing appreciation for the fact of everything he had done for being such a long reigning champion like he was. That's a huge honor as well. So it was Cody's year last year. I would honestly say I think it's CM Punk's year this year, starting in 2025 early, but in terms of what he did towards the tail end of 2024. But Roman always has that factor because, as you mentioned before, when we're talking about the match with him and Solo, it's amazing when, and I relate this to like a Liv Morgan, a Rhea Ripley, Seth Rollins, Cody, Kevin at times. I think Kevin's an amazing heel when he's a heel. Jey Uso, when individuals find out who they are and have that level of confidence, which, I wish I could define it well. If I had a thesaurus, I'd try to find all these fancy words to kind of describe it, but it's just that innate factor that just it showcases itself on the screen. And you just see it, and it's that it factor. And all those individuals I just mentioned, including Roman, They finally got it. They understood it, and now they're just literally. It looks like they're not even trying, and that's how good it is, and that's how good Roman is as well. So congratulations to him for getting the cover, well deserved. And ultimately, like you said, there's gonna be a celebration. We'll see what inning this is in. Let's see if we're gonna start a whole new game. But in terms of Roman Reigns being on the cover, not surprised at all.
All right, so next week we got Chad Gable against a luchador to be determined, which we think is going to be Penta. So looking forward to that. The debut. Cero Miedo. We got Damian Priest and Finn Balor in a street fight. So maybe this will be the culmination of this feud. A lot of people want to see the Judgment Day and just break away from this feud with Damian Priest and Rhea
Yeah,
Ripley. So
I'm
we'll
kind
see
of over it too. I'm kind of over
see
Damian
if it's
Priest.
we'll see if it's
For that.
officially over, if it comes to an end next Monday night in San Jose. And then, of course, the Women's Intercontinental Championship final is going to be Lyra Valkyrie against Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai was roll tide at the red carpet. She was roll tide in the audience. My heart's going with Dakota Kai. I hope she comes out victorious. We will find out next
Yeah,
week.
just choose one, man. Just choose one, dude.
I can't, Trendsetter. It's like a box of chocolates, you know? You don't
Yeah,
know.
but it's a box of chocolates, but you give somebody else a flavor. Don't
God.
take it all yourself. You can't be selfish, man.
I don't know. Maybe I'll make that'll be my resolution 2025. By the end of 2025, I'll make a decision. So we'll see what happens. But guys, I
It's
want
like
to
buying gifts for people and keeping them yourself, man. That's selfish, dude.
first and foremost, I want to thank everybody at Give a Shot Network for setting this up. I want to thank everybody for doing this. I want to thank you guys for joining us here. We got to do this again. This was really fun, and obviously, you can check out the episode here. When we finish up the show, you can catch us here. If you missed the live, you can also check us out here on the Give a Shot Network, the home for HSP. Hit that notification bell, subscribe, like, and you won't miss anything from us, from Jeff and the Trendsetter, my tag team partner too. And then also follow us on our social media at High Spot Podcast. Follow the Give a Shot Network and everybody there. They have tremendous shows for you guys, so make sure you watch them too. And listen to us on all podcast platforms as well. And we'll be back with you guys this week as well, and we'll break down NXT, their New Year's Evil. And we'll talk about some AEW. A lot of stuff happened with New Japan and stuff like that too. They had their Wrestle Kingdom and their Wrestle Dynasty too. So we'll see what happens. We'll discuss everything. But tonight, I'm going to say it was a home run by Netflix, and I'm looking forward to next week and what they do, because this was very hard to top. See what happens. Trendsetter, do what you do best, man. The first close of 2025 belongs to you.
Wow, a lot of pressure there. What can I say, guys? Was an amazing historic event. It's emotional. It's emotional in the sense that from how Jeff and we first saw this and the tape trading days to where it is now in terms of how people can view it. And I think streaming is the future in terms of everything we want to do. Because Jeff, when's the last time we ever saw something live now? I mean, we saw this live, but streaming is to the point where you can just go watch replays of things. You don't have to spend your whole time watching something live in order to enjoy it, in order to make it worth something.
And I'm gonna throw this word, this forbidden name, Vince McMahon. He saw that this was streaming. He started with the network. He was ahead of his time. He saw streaming ahead of everything, and everyone laughed and mocked him. And they said, "Oh my god, on the network, what's that? You're not going to be on." And look at this: Peacock, ESPN, Netflix. Talk about Netflix, right? Everything is streaming now. Who saw it? I'm probably gonna get scolded for this, but Mr. McMahon, he saw this. He's the one that was like, we got to put this on a network, on streaming services. And by God, look where Netflix is today. Look where WWE is today. Tremendous job. So I know I'm gonna get killed for that, but BK,
You've been killed for worse. But you're right, man. It's a great night one of Netflix. Can't wait to see what the future holds in terms of it going forward as we approach. Can't believe I'm saying it. WrestleMania season, 3 weeks away until the start of it, guys. So looking forward to it. Our Christmas was done. My Christmas is approaching in 3 weeks, guys. So I can't wait for it, guys. So for the Jersey Wrecking Crew, for my tag team partner, Jeff Martin, I'm the Trendsetter, Bryan Breaker. Thank you guys so much for listening to this edition of our live stream Raw Netflix premiere post show here on the Give Us a Shot Network. Remember, guys, we do this for one reason and one reason only. We do this for you, the
crew. See you this week.